Hello everyone. I hope you're doing well and your preparation for CSCP is right on track. In this video, we are going to talk about inventory, its types and functions. What is inventory, you ask? Well, in my opinion, if I were to give you the most simple definition, it would be just items or more commonly known as stock. But if you want a more formal or academic definition, inventory is defined as stocks and items which are used to support production and customer service, along with supporting activities such as maintenance, repair, etc. And as we go through the different types and functions, you would have more clarity on what exactly the inventory is. Now let's take a look into what are the types of inventory. The basic types of inventory include raw materials, work in progress inventory, finished goods, MRO, which is maintenance, repair, and operations inventory, and in transit inventory. One key point to note here is that depending on the position of the firm in the supply chain, what is raw material or what is finished good would differ. Now, what I mean by that is, let's say you are a manufacturer and a supplier has just provided you with something, an item to be processed. Now, this item is a raw material for you because you haven't started process on it. However, from the supplier's point of view, that would be the finished good because he is supplying you the item, right? As a final finished product. So, depending on the position of the firm, what are raw materials, finished goods, and work in progress would differ. Now, let's just run through the definition. I'm pretty sure it's obvious, but let's spend a minute to understand what are these different types. Raw materials are the items that you receive from the supplier but have not been processed, or the process or value addition has not yet started on those. Work in progress is the inventory on which the task of manufacturing or value addition has started. Now, this could be any item which is partially finished or even the item which are almost complete but are waiting for quality control, quality checks. The item becomes finished good only when it is available for sale to the customer. So, as I mentioned earlier, the work in progress items which are like almost finished goods but awaiting quality control are still work in progress. Once they are available to be sold, then only they are called as the finished goods. MRO, maintenance, repair, and operations, is inventory type which includes spare parts, lubricants, hand tools, and cleaning supplies that are needed to maintain the production but are not in the final product per se. So they are not direct materials that go into the product, but they are important in supporting the production activity. Let's talk about the in-transit inventory. It is the inventory that is available in the transportation and the distribution network. Now, this could be any of the types. It could be raw material, it could be work in progress, or it could be finished good. It's just the inventory that is in the network. Now, let's also talk about what are the functions of inventory. The major chunk of cycle stock inventory is the items which are available to sell or the finished good items to meet the customer demand. The cycle stock inventory is also called as the pipeline inventory when you look at the aggregate supply chain. Cycle stock is also called as lot size inventory when a bulk purchase is made in order to save some money, or in some cases, a huge manufacturing batch is processed in order to save some production costs. Now, what is anticipatory inventory or anticipation inventory? Now, let's just say that you have a planned promotion coming in, or there are some seasonal fluctuations that you see in your demand forecast. In order to meet this demand that is coming in the fluctuations or to manage these promotions, you have anticipated that you would require some more inventory on top of the cycle stock that you have. That is called as the anticipatory inventory. What is buffer inventory, you ask? Buffer inventory is used to keep the throughput steady at the work centers. Now, what does that exactly mean? It simply means that you keep some extra inventory in order to let two different processes run independently at their own pace. Let's assume there is a work center, which is also a constraint, that is the slowest throughput item throughout the chain. And when you look upstream, the processes work at one speed. When you look at downstream, the processes work at a different speed. You have to make sure that the constraint does not stop production at any point in time. So what you do is you keep a certain amount of inventory at that work center in order to make sure that it never stops and the throughput is continuous. That inventory is called as buffer inventory. Safety stock inventory is the inventory that is used to protect against demand and supply fluctuations. Let's just say that you have forecasted certain amount and there is obviously some forecast error. Let's just say it's 10%. So in order to make sure that you are not out of stock, you have to keep certain amount of inventory to protect against that forecast error, that so that you don't run out of stock, which is called as the safety stock. Similarly, on the supply side, if you do not get the exact quantity that you ordered from a supplier, or you get your order a little delayed, in that case also there would be problems. So safety stock helps you protect against the supply and demand variations. So what is hedge inventory? Hedging is a common term which is used to define a plan against a risk. So hedging involves managing risk by building, buying, or contractually guaranteeing additional inventory at a set price if supply could be threatened or prices could rise. Now, the risks could be whether the economy downturn or the plant shutdown, the labor strikes, or political crisis, etc. So hedging means dealing with a risk or planning ahead for a risk. When you are gathering inventory in order to deal with the risk, then it is called as a hedge inventory. And the last time, decoupling. It lets two different processes operate at their different paces. Decoupling is the inventory maintained at a strategic point in order to allow two different processes function at their own independent rates. I hope that clarified a lot of things for you and you have understood inventory in much better way. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in comments or put them in the Telegram channel that I put in the description. There would also be many videos coming on the inventory piece, so stay tuned.